right, good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. Welcome, my name's Mark from Jamf. I'm happy to welcome you to the session From Patch to Progress, the evolution of the Jamf App Catalog with app installers. I have with us as the presenter my colleague, Marco Heinen. Welcome.
Yeah, before we start, I need to share this from our legal department. So we have done that. So good morning, everyone. I hope everyone had a really good first day. Today, I want to talk a little bit about our Jamf App Catalog, what is patch management and app installers. And I want to talk a bit what we did in the past 5 years. But also, we'll share a little bit what our future plans are. So something that you haven't heard about yesterday because we don't have a deadline for, but I still want to present it today to see that we're still making progress, right? We're still making you guys happy and try to make your life a little bit easier day by day with adding new titles and new features. A little bit about myself. I'm Marco Heinen. I'm a senior software engineer at Jamf, and I'm from the Netherlands. I started my Jamf adventure with acquisition of Zuludesk in 2019, which became Jamf School. I had the luck that year as well to join JNUC. In December 2020, we acquired Wandera, and then my life came to that part to help them out with that integration into Jamf Pro. And I joined 2 years ago the content automation team that provides you all the updates and help them out to make that process smoother and better, so we were able to add more app installers. A little bit about myself as well. I was an iOS software engineer like a long time ago when I was still Objective-C 15 years ago. That's how I started my life as a professional, and in the meantime, I also did a lot of WordPress open source contributions. The agenda for today is patch management, where it all began, why we needed to change, the turning point, the progress, app installers, the new era, what's new this year, and then we talk a little bit about the future, and in the end, we should have enough time for a Q&A. So patch management, where it all began. So we started Jamf App Catalog like in 2016. It allows administrators to customize and manage software titles for patching purposes. So it was still a lot of manual work. So it started with patch reporting in Jamf 9.93. It was just like a read-only base, so you know what was going on all your endpoints, but you were not able to act on that. That happens in patch management in Jamf Pro 10 in October 2017. There you were able to do all your stuff and all the patching with the titles that we were providing. In Jamf Pro 10.2, we added external patch sources, and that was also where Wandera came in place as well, where you were able to add your own software title. So while Jamf had at that point a limited catalog, you were still able to add your titles that you wanted to see, or make changes to the titles that we were providing. So why did we need to make the change? So keeping your computers of all your endpoints up to date is really important. It's critical for security, compliance, and the user experience. And the amount of titles we had in 2020 was just not enough. So we also realized that knowing a version was out was just not good enough. You still, as an admin, had to do a lot of work. So why couldn't Jamf provide that solution for you safely and automatically? And with patch management, people still had to download the packages, upload them, package them to make it work. So the traditional patching is really reactive instead of like active, that basically you configure something and your life is so much easier, you don't have to do anything anymore. So why couldn't we make it that way? So the turning point for us was acquiring Wandera, and with that product Kenobi in 2020. They were a company in Australia. They were a solution aimed to help organizations to be secure with automating and monitoring patch updates. They had way more than we had at Jamf, and they had also a lot of knowledge that we might be missing, or it was always good to have. So the progress that we did, like we acquired Wandera, which gives us the tools and the knowledge to make the needed progress in Jamf. So we all started with their titles. So they had a lot of titles, so we analyzed and prepared them and started migrating it to our system. And we used their Kinobi code and improved that to make the workflow work for our content engineers. The next step was to look at that code base and see how can we make that available to our customers. and that became Title Editor. So in July 2021, we released that to all our customers, and people are actively using it this day as well. And we added that in Jamf Pro 10.31. And the last step, what we did was the app installers. So we announced it at JNUC 2021, and we made it publicly available in March 22 with Jamf Pro 10.37. A feature that was really celebrated by our customers at that time and more this year because we added more and more titles that you might be missing. Now you can use them and you don't have to do that work. So after that, it was all about expanding. So we had all the knowledge and all the features that Kinobi and Wandera had. We integrated that and we started to like, okay, what can we now to do improve? So we included it in Jamf Now in July 2023. And in September, we added it to Jamf School just before JNUC. So now all our MDM products had the ability for app installers, especially for Jamf School, like the education, they have less admins, but they have like titles like Adobe Creator Suite that was like troublesome for Jamf School. Now they can use you with a few clicks, have it there, up to date, no troubles, and less time for the admins to work on. And this year we added a new binary. So before we were using a different script, now we have a binary really well tested, and it has also the ability to download directly from the vendor, which allows us to add more titles as well, because some were unblocked and it was directly available for all our products for Pro, School, and Now. To talk a little bit about patch management, so we have now 1,441 titles, and we started around 50 when we just acquired Wandera. So you see a really great progress in the beginning because we were adding all the titles. Then we still had a steady growth. And in March 23, you'll see a spike where we added combined titles. So for example, VirtualBox, you can say like, I want this specific like 7.1 version, but you can also say just VirtualBox to keep it up to date, and I want to focus on that. And you can still use both of them, one to update your computers and one to know what the state of your fleet is. A little bit more data. So this from September 1st when I generated it. So this where you can see how many active titles of those we have. So when in that first, like the last week of August, we did 117 titles that can have more updates, but those titles were active. And by the end of the year, like in a whole year period, you see like almost half of our catalog is getting updated because we still have like Adobe like for all the years. So yeah, obviously those don't get updates. And there are some of the numbers that my team does. So I give the presentation to also give you some insight what my team does and all the teams that I'm in. So in 2025, like in September, we did 745 patch updates. That can be that some titles have 10 updates. And from those updates, we generated 365 app installer updates. I forgot to write down the numbers, but I believe we broke the records by like 50, 60 from the patch update as well from the app installers. And app installers make sense because we added a lot of cool new app installers this year. And to make it more clear, like what we do in my team, we test every single patch update, every app installer, to make sure that it works correctly, that if the vendor does something wrong, if it breaks, if they change the bundle ID, that we check it out. So when it comes to your machine, it works perfectly, and you have more confidence that it actually works. And with the patch updates, we also, like what I said before, like bundle ID or other important information. So if we need to update our extension attribute, we want to make sure that we do that. So we talked about patch management. Now we're going to a little bit talk about what we did with app installers in New Era, right? So there was a video that we did like the year after app installers. I think I need to press once. Yeah. So here you will see what we did from the first year to the year later. And it's purely in Jamf Pro, so it's really easy to add one now. You can select your Jamf App Catalog. In that period, in the last couple of years, we also made a lot of UI improvements from like displaying more information in the UI, so you know what we detected. You can see the URL where we grabbed it original from. Keep in mind that URL doesn't always have to work still, because sometimes it's a temporary URL that will expire within an hour, but we'll still provide you that information as well. In the first year, we also added it to self-service, so you can select your categories. We implemented end-user experience, so you are in control on how it should work. And later on, we also added like a global configuration. So if you continuously do the same steps, you can do like a global configuration in Jamf Pro. And hopefully allows you also to do a lot of simplification, right? And at that time, we also added that you can hard code a version number. We still don't have the -1, -2, but at least if you, with some automation, you can make sure that you can test it before you would release it. And in the end, it solves a lot of pain points, right? So if common apps are not available in the App Store, you can now simply just use the same VPP workflow, add the title. Before it was time consuming, so we solved that for you, so you don't need to package it anymore and make sure that it works. Like for example, some application like Google Chrome, if you update it on the fly, like with an MDM command, it could break. And so we solve a lot of that problems as well. We also deal with a lot of different Mac installers, so it can be packages, DMGs, but it can be a package within a package. There's a lot of things that vendors try to do. We do it for you, so you don't have to know that much about package generation anymore, because that's a whole work that you need to do that now I also need a little bit to learn, and also the rest of the team as well. And it's just one less task you have to do. So less one trouble, you can just use app installers, and if you want to have more reporting, you can also include patch management as well. So you get a little bit of both, the best of both worlds, and we improve pretty good the user experience with the notifications. Sure, we can always do it better, but that's a step-by-step progress, and we just want to make that progress every year in, so hopefully by next year, we have some more cool stuff to share. A little bit about the history. So we started in March 22 with 70 titles. In April, we added 5. In May, we added another 15, and by the end of the year, we had 116 titles. 2023, we added 42, 24, 58, and this year we added a swapping of 123 app installers. The team I'm in did an amazing job. I don't take the credit for that. Like, they do it. I try just to help them out as best as I can. But in the end, we just want to make customers happy, right? And in the end, this year, just like a week or two ago, we have now 300 active app installers in our catalog. And if you count everything up, you will probably see we had like 330 added in total, but there's always a few that we deprecate because new releases, or deprecation because like Microsoft Skype, it doesn't exist anymore. So what is new this year? Obviously, a lot of different app installers. And because I was really fun with having my slides, I list them all. So here you'll see like VLC was added. People are really loving that. That had 150 votes in our app request. Amazon WorkSpaces, 22 votes. Arduino IDE, really perfect for STEM. Just 9 votes, but it's really perfect for STEM, and most likely, if they would have voted for it, there would be more. And ChatGPT, we added that one as well, and like more titles. ChatGPT had 93 votes. Cisco WebEx, for example, had 100 votes that we got added this year. GIMP, awesome, open source raster graphic editor with 54 votes. More titles. I can continue and explain them all, but yeah, I will just show them a little bit. And like also iTerms too got added like in the beginning of this year. That was like our first try with downloading from the vendor itself. Because we can do that. That one had 93 votes. And yeah, Bumble Studio, that was like a fun one I want to mention. Like, it doesn't have many votes, there's a lot of use in education. And if you look at Mac admins, that also highlighted some sparkles like, why was it added? But it's just fun to share that as well. And also we added a lot of virtualization applications this year as well with VirtualBox, with Parallels. VirtualFox is a different, like what is normally a combined title, so we added it separately. If you have feedback, you'd rather have it as a combined title, please reach out to me. We want to, as a team, want to get some little bit of feedback to see what people prefer. Because sometimes with VirtualBox, like in my time at Jamf School, it sometimes could break our flow, so we rather have it selective instead of like it automatically updated for us. And we also added a few AI editors as well with Copilot, Cloud, and Cursor AI. And by the end, to get also a little bit to 300 app installs, we also added our own products, which makes sense, right? Jamf should eat their own dog food, right? So we use Jamf Pro to manage our devices, but we should also have our applications from the Jamf concept team also added as well. So it's just easier for our customers to add it. Here's some of the feedback we got at the Mac admins. You see also some people added some cool graphics with like showing the list of added titles and when it got added. That's a little bit of my pet project I added. It's mdmtoolbox.com. Because I knew beforehand, I want to create my own tools outside of Jamf to help you admins out as well. And for me, patch management and app installs make the most sense. And I also know we wanted to push through the 3 app installers, so it was really nice to do. And it was really fun to, like with Colorants, that continuously posted this in Mac admins as well on the Slack channel with app installers. I didn't have to do it. My colleague who is also really active on Slack, John, sometimes does as well, but it's really cool to see that people like Colorants do it for us, because that shares the enthusiasm that we have and also our customers have. Also by this standing here, I also want to thank them out, because when we see happy customers, it also makes us happy. And we also sometimes share those messages internally as well, because yeah, we do the work to make it easier for you, but we also love to hear back from you as well, right? So another source, the official source from Jamf, is going to Jamf IT software titles. There you will get the full list. And if you go to ids.jamf.com, you can also submit your own application if it doesn't exist. Here you see a little bit of a video recording where you can browse. I highlighted today because we still see people adding it to different categories, and it was not always as easy. I'm not sure at this given state if software updates, app requests, and app installs is the new title. Because last week I was talking with our product manager, and we were trying to make this flow a little bit more clear as well. So now you can do like your app request. You see that we have currently 423 active. We probably can close a few, but yeah, it takes time internally as well to get it filtered out. And here you'll see how to add a new ID. In this case, the video is created by my PM, and she's now adding a feature request, not for a new app installer, but for a new, like adding a feature request for scheduling an app installers. Like we want, like she wants to get it improved. And you see like it autocompletes with other IDs, in this case also some title request, and she's posting it. One thing that normally we wouldn't share, but I'm here today from the automation team to also share a little bit insight in what we do, right? So when we acquired Wandera, we also acquired their automation stack. We already had one. We acquired DataJar, another automation stack. So in the past years, we tried and did merge the Wandera automation stack together with what we had to create a complete new automation stack. So what we did is we built it up from the ground up. We used the inspiration from both stacks to build something cool. Before, it was always like within code, like something like recipes. So now we also build a fresh, cool UI around it. So that's also why we were able to do a lot of app installs this year, because the flow is so much easier. It's not up to the software engineers anymore to help the content engineers. They can do it themselves. They can say like, oh, this title, I want to have an app installer. Click on it. They still test it out, especially the first time, to make sure everything works perfect. And it's also, we separate a lot of the services. And what does it mean for you? Because that's the more important stuff, right? It's faster processing. So before, what the stack was doing, every title, like step by step, and it takes a lot of time, especially if you do macOS updates. Those are big. Processing takes time, like 40 minutes, so that means that it really takes a long time. Now we did it async, which means if we want to check all the titles, it's maybe a minute or two. We still need to process, that will take time, but even there, we have now 2 machines doing the work for you, so we still get really fast the updates out, and it's not blocking us with titles like if we get an Apple update. We also have more stable checks. So if something breaks, because we have a lot of vendors make changes to the website, to their APIs, so it's bound to break. So we have a really cool automation now through Slack, so we will see there, if after 4 hours it still breaks, we get an alert, we will fix it for you, and most of the stuff is now in UI. It's not only software engineers that need to do it, but also content engineers can do it as well. Even if our PO wants to fix it, he can do it. And it also allows us way faster addition of new titles. So we also talked about DataJar without update, all their titles we add as well. So at one point they can use our automation stack, so we can provide the updates to them so they can also release faster. And we also added a lot of new additional functionality. So we improved it, we made it better, we separated the services, and because of that, we'll also do a lot of Google Chrome improvements. So they have a lot of like those early stable releases that they only spread to like maybe 5%, 10%, 50% to all the computers. There's no DMG or package we can download. So we use their JSON feed, and add all those versions to us. Because in the beginning of this year, we got a lot of feedback or a lot of customers asking us like, oh yeah, this version is missing, please add it. We don't need to do it anymore. And what makes it even better, this functionality was not done by a software engineer, not per se by a software engineer. It was done by one of our awesome content engineers. I let him build the tools, he did it all on himself, and that shows also the power of our automation stack. And a lot of customers like this because now they don't need to go to support, create a ticket, say, can you please add this version of Google Chrome? One thing we did this year as well is, again, what we talked about, like eat our own dog food, right? So we integrated with Jamf Threat Labs malware threat integration. So our testing is always really thorough. Like we go through it, we check what we download, and we store the MD5 checksum. We see if it's signed by the correct developer. And if it's updated, we make sure that we can update it. Now we make it even more secure by also checking if there's signs of malware. Most likely, most of the time we don't detect, but it's only have to be that one time that offender was maybe itself didn't know, there was some malware in it, and now we want to make sure before we publish an app installer that it also goes through this to make sure what we deliver is even more secure than it was before. And what we talked before, right? The new app installer daemon. So what does it mean for you? So it's new binary replace the launch daemon. It reuses vendor-provided installers, so we don't have to repackage it anymore. Sure, there are a few like Adobe where we still do it for you because otherwise it doesn't work with app installers, so we do still repackage those, but for most, we don't have to. It supports for direct downloading from media from the original vendor, and we did that for Microsoft this year to just make sure that we deliver sometimes a better way. And also with Microsoft, we support multiple package installs. So what does it mean for Microsoft and also for Adobe Acrobat? We can use their Delta updates. So instead of downloading, I believe it's 1.5 gigabytes, we only have to download 150, 200 megabytes. So it's also relieving your network if there's an update out and you scope it to 1,000 computers, that your network is not like failing, but we can get the smaller update. Another thing is like we also improve our logging. Before it was not really that great. Now we added some colors, we show which application it is, which vendor, some of the data we find, and also the versions. And in this case, it's about VLC. We directly download it. You will see that in the logs files as well. And if I would run it another time, it's smaller because it doesn't need to download anymore. It sees that the current version is the same as before, so it doesn't need to download. So instead of like delivering a package, I'm not sure how big VLC is, say 50 megabytes, we don't have to do that for those 1,000 computers anymore. Another step that we improved in Jamf Pro is configuring app installer deployment process. So here you will see a few options, so we can change the frequency of the deployment and the amount of like how much and how often we do those batches. It's still not, it might not be still like the fix that we need to do, but it helps out, right? It makes those little progress steps that we want. So sure, if we send an update just when the weekend starts, most likely all those commands will still be scheduled on a Monday morning, but at least during the week it should still be good, and if they bring the computer at home, they will still get their updates as well. So we talked about what we did before, what we did this year. So what's next? So we have 300 app installs. Sure, we will add more. It might not be the same scale that we did this year. Maybe it does. We don't, like, I can't make any promises around that. But what wasn't shared yesterday, what was pulled off, I'm allowed to share that. So obviously, the future is blueprints. So instead of, it will still be called app installers or app management, or, and here's a video about that. So here you'll see is blueprints. There's already Adobe apps scheduled. And we want to schedule Microsoft applications. And not only one, we can schedule multiple ones. So we want to scope Outlook, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint at the same scoping group. Here you will see also like everything combined. You can search them by apps. Here you will see a lot of lists of applications there are. If you go, for example, to iTerms 2, you'll still see which macOS version we support. Still the information you expect to see in Jamf Pro. And now we're going to find the Microsoft applications. And we can just click on it. We see the information the same as before. If you want to see all the download URLs or the downloaded files, you can open it. But generally, yeah, how often does it happen? So we want to have a clean UI. You can drag drop all the applications. If you want, you still can configure it more. And you can scope it to all your clients. And you can deploy it. It's a whole different workflow. I hope it solves a lot of your problems you had before. Obviously, we have now a different way of scoping because with the current app installers in Jamf Pro, there were some things that we could have improved. Now, for the future on, we're going to really focus on the blueprints, make that work. It should also be faster, the scoping, especially on Jamf Pro. But then again, Jamf School now, they all have a different way of doing it. We're doing it in blueprints. All our products will have the same way of doing that. So, same experience across products. I hope everyone thinks this is an improved user experience. If not, please come back to me. We used the existing binary that we use currently in our app installers. It will be included in Self-Service Plus, so we don't need to send that every time over. Again, less data that we send over. Hopefully, we're able to support more apps because we don't need to rely on MDM anymore. And what I mean with that, if an app doesn't have a bundle ID, we cannot do that for it. So hopefully, by going forward, we are able then also to support titles like Java or other that are like script-based binaries. Thank you. Still, again, no promises. I'm not sure what the deadlines will be for that, but we see the pain points. We want to focus on that, and hopefully we solve a lot more of your limitations and issues you had with app installers in the next years. And that, again, we solve those limitations that we currently have with app installers. Again, timeline to be decided. I'm just happy that I was still allowed to share this because I think it's really awesome, really cool. It shows a lot of potential. It might not be there yet, but I do want to share the progress that we are making because I have seen some tickets in the past month or two that I know someone created like a 3 pages thing on how he want to see app installers done and app reporting done in Jamf Pro. It's a really good read. So hopefully that person is really happy what I showed today, and hopefully then we can have some talks. Before I'm ending, before the QA, I do want to shout out to our engineering teams for all the things that they happen. With acquisition of Wandera, with all the things that we changed, I do want to shout out to Justin Clark and Duncan McCracken. With their acquisition of their company, we made a lot of progress in the last 5 years, sorry. So a really loud applause for the people that are not here, for working so hard in the past years to make your life even that little bit easier. Thank you.
Thanks, Marco. I'm happy to run around the room to bring the mic for questions. I'll start up here and we'll make our way back.
Yes, thank you very much. When can we add these to our enrollment packages, our app installers? So right now we're still kind of downloading them and having to still kind of package them. We update them every quarter. The app installers will update them, but are we going to ever be able to leverage them within our, set up your Mac or however we want to do our enrollment packages with the trigger or something like that?
I had those talks in the last month or two to see with the new binary, we're going to blueprints, what the options are. At this given stage, I want to say less likely or not, but like we know the problem is there, right? But we don't have any solutions or any thought process around that. I know yesterday I had with another colleague some conversation about that. No promises to be made, but that's something that we know exists and we want to work on it, but we need to find the right ways, right?
Okay, thank you very much.
How often does the temporary Jamf app installers folder get emptied? Because I routinely have my vulnerability management software tagging on old versions that are in the app installer folder.
So how app installer work is it will always be there on the moment the user hasn't closed the application. So when they close it, we update it, that folder should be cleared out. That said, like application like Chrome, it might be not likely that the user will ever close it, right? So with what I showed in the video before, there are ways that you can change the user experience and force closing and give more alerts. But yeah, it can happen if they never close the laptop, never restart it, that it might take a long period of time, yes.
What if a user updates the app manually themselves while that app installer is still there?
App installer should still run it, sees that the version is the same as what I want to install, and should stop doing it then. But in the end, it should still afterwards clean it up because it knows that the app installer didn't have to do something. But knowing your feedback, it might not work as you want to, but hopefully bit by bit we can improve that as well.
Hey Marco, can you talk a little bit about how the user notification is going to work in Blueprints, and are you thinking about doing like a more monolithic notification instead of having one notification per application? Because it would be nice if it would just be like once a week if they haven't updated the notification. Yeah,
then it goes back to the previous guy, right? Like I have this folder with a lot of installers, right? Then the admin might ignore it. I know we're working on improving some of the stuff, but yeah, what we showed today, it's work what we did probably in the last half year, maybe a little bit longer. So it's something that we probably want to see in a beta release and get feedback from our customers. What they want to see. At this point, I only seen a little bit out of it, but yeah, it's something that most likely will happen. Not sure if it's in the way you want it, but at least we are more than happy to hear the feedback when we get to the point that we can do a beta release or when it's actually in production.
Cool. Back here.
Yeah, just pertaining to the notifications, with the Jamf Setup Manager, the way that installs, where it shows a status bar of the apps getting installed, where I noticed, with the app installs, it just pops up a notification and then pops up again when it's done. Like if there was some kind of status bar, it'll just let the user know, these apps are being updated right now and they're forced quit or quit by the user, just to give them a little more status. And then secondly, with the Microsoft Office updates, there seems to be a little bit of competition with its own built-in updater, which you probably know about.
Yeah.
Where the Jamf app installers will say, get an error saying it didn't update it, but then it actually did get updated either by, I think, the built-in installer or whatnot, but that notification will come up.
So with the
turning it off. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. With the Microsoft one, there were some race conditions in the past, I think month. I'm not sure why suddenly it pops up more often than before. We found what we had to do around that. So basically if we would do the installer, we will kill the MAUI updater. We were not doing it correctly by the wrong bundle ID. We did fix that. It's something to test out a little bit more in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully after that it's better. But yeah, it's always weird when you have to compete against auto updaters for other applications. But yeah, step by step we do make that progress, right? But with a lot of different vendors, it's sometimes a little bit more troublesome to find the right ones. But I do believe that, especially with the Microsoft suite, that we should do a better job. And then also we also going to release then also the Delta updates. We tried to do that with Outlook, but it's just slow progress to make sure that it works as expected if it would be the full installer. And to talk about the progress, that was the first thing. That's a bit of the philosophy around it, right? So in reality, app install, especially the downloading, the user doesn't need to know about it because it should happen in the back end. But when we integrate with Self-Service Plus, obviously when it's an application Self-Service Plus, the current UX could improve a little bit more then, right? Because then it's like, you install it and then you have to wait, you don't know what's going on. And that's also because it happens through MDM. If we go into it Blueprints and we actually include the binary there, I'm pretty sure that we should be able to make some improvements that you will like.
Thank you.
I'll be right here and then I'll head back.
Is there anything that can be done, especially for Adobe apps, with the number of failures? It seems like the Adobe apps have the largest number of failures, like 20-25%, compared to some of the other app installers, which are like less than 5.
You mean like the whole Creative Suite, right?
Yeah, that they're always failing, and just the number of not failures, either some retries or better reporting.
So that are the few apps that we don't have to use the new binary yet. I still need to make some improvements around that we can start using that, but I believe with 2025 we will still use the old way. I do hope when we switch to the new way that it should be better. At least you should have better logging and can then share that with us, and then we can see where we can make the improvements. I didn't know it was that much of an error rate. It might be on, like in your environment, that it might error out more. It's really tricky also for us to see, right? Because it happens on someone's machine that we don't also see the log files unless you provide them to us. But yes, the next step for us is to use the new binary for the Adobe titles. Hopefully it will happen in the next month. And then from there, we can see where we can then make improvements if needed. Hopefully the error rate goes down. That's always the hope, right? And then hopefully when we make that switch, hopefully you're then a really happy person, or more happy person with what we deliver. But yeah, it's good to know. I will write it down. I will let the content engineer and the rest of the team know that that's something we want to look into, if we already know why it errors out that often, and if the binary will make that actually the improvements required.
Hi, Marco, Beck here. Apologies if I missed this part in your presentation earlier, but I wanted to ask about the Jamf app reinstallation behavior, because something that our company lost when we went from policies to Jamf App Catalog apps is that if you remove the app for whatever reason, troubleshooting, corruption, whatever it be, Jamf App will not automatically restore. We had to kind of develop our own solution through some webhooks and some Azure automation to unscope and rescope devices with a self-service button to achieve this, which is fine. But I'm wondering, will these improvements include an automatic reinstallation mechanism either through the app itself or the binary improvements or the blueprints to put the app back should the user or our help desk have to remove it from a user's Mac?
Yes, so those improvements would not likely to happen with the current app installer flow. Obviously, when we go to blueprints, that's something we can look into. Generally what happens now is that people will disable the app installer scope, wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then enable it again, and then it should install again. Obviously, it's not an ideal workflow. It's a kind of a workaround around it, but if we move to blueprints, then it's more likely we will look into that, see what happens, what is the behavior when something like someone remove it, and then work on that workflow. And then obviously if we integrate with Self-Service Plus, it also gives us more opportunities to let the user then reinstall it based on the recipe that's already in there. That's good feedback. Yeah.
Hi. I'd like to get more information about the fails. Like right now, all we can do is to hit retry, and it's actually hard to troubleshoot because we can't really know what's going on there. So is there a plan to provide more feedback?
Yeah, no plans now, because in the end what means is that somehow Jamf Pro or any MDM needs to have that log files from the machine pushed back to the MDM, right? There are no real plans around that because we basically want to say like, it should always work perfectly, right? No, not always does, but I don't believe there are plans, but I can be wrong. I will share your feedback internally because I'm like the software engineer, I'm more than happy to share here, but sadly our product manager is not around.
Even just an automatic retry.
Yeah, so probably when we go to blueprints, when it's included in Self-Service Plus, that would probably be then also for the user to retry instead of like you as an admin needs to go to Jamf Pro, say retry all or retry the specific computer. So yeah, from there we should make at least from a user point of view those improvements. But yeah, if it still errors out continuously, then you still at this point need to step in, get the log files, but at least I believe with the current log files, what we now do with the new binary, at least those log files should be more helpful than we had before.
If an app installer shows as pending, but you know that the device is online, what's going on? And what should you do to make it
Is it
finish?
pending for a new install or an update?
either.
So if it's an update, then it's what we mentioned before, like then the user needs to close the application to get that status then being updated. But again, with MDM, having accurate statuses is always a little bit troublesome because we basically install it in a temporary folder, so we need to validate where it comes from or add a fake bundle ID to know what the status is. When we move to blueprints in the next years, then obviously those statuses we should be able to do way better reporting then, because the binary that we now have to submit every time, that binary will live on the endpoint always, and then we can get more stable, better responses back. At least my colleague gets some exercise in.
I could.
This is a bit more technical, but in 2023, there was a presentation about automating some of the app installers with API. Is there a plan to actually document those API endpoints or add them to the new API that's coming?
That's a conversation I had a few times this week already. I believe especially when we move to blueprints, we can definitely, we should be able to make the API of the current app installers available. If it is in blueprints, my experience with blueprints is limited, so I would assume that the current API or some additional improvement on the API will make that happen, right? So that API is already available. It will be a platform service. And what we shared at the keynote yesterday, we are API first approach, so it should be then way better than we probably did now within Jamf Pro. But I will see, and I'll check with the PM next week to see how fast we can make that API available then, right?
Hi. We currently use the Jamf App Catalog on a few of our core titles, but there are probably hundreds of applications that we have across our org. Do you have any recommendations, or maybe there's a way to improve this in the future as far as identifying good candidates? So as an example, Patch My PC, which we also have on the Windows side, it'll just automatically, if you hit a certain threshold, which you decide, it'll just turn it on for that app. And I don't know that I would want something exactly like that, but a better way to find candidates might be a good thing in the future, or if you know, or if that exists already and I'm just not aware of it.
No, it doesn't exist at this moment, but we have heard that feedback more often. That's something, we are looking into, and probably will make that improvements at one given state. Maybe not by next JNUC, but hopefully as soon JNUC afterwards. But yeah, that's also important for us, right? Like we added 123 new app installers this year. Most people probably have only knew about a few of them. Especially if we had a few app installers that were useful for you. We basically want to say that like, oh yeah, we add value for you instead of you need to look into every month or every once in a while to check which ones those are. So we do know about that. Unsure how that would going to look like, but it's something we will want to make improvements on.
Yeah, I know there's also the, there's the big push with the AI search tool. Wondering if you can leverage that in some way where it will look at what apps you have and then compare it with what apps are available in the app installer and making recommendations. I don't know, I haven't really used that tool that much, so.
So I'm not sure if it's only in our internal AI or also for our customers. They did integrate it with patch management, and I did directly reach out to them like, hey, we have this new automation stack. We can also do the app installers, and when we can also make an AI, then also say which one are new, so that at least if you then do ask within Jamf Pro on your AI agent, that it get that feedback as well, there as well. So that's something I want to work on as a software engineer, obviously. I'm not sure when I have fully the time to do that. But yeah, that's for me, what I can do within my realm of responsibilities. That was my focus point for the next upcoming time when I have time to work on the AI integrations with the chatbot. But going back to the reporting side of things, yeah, that's something we really need to have. And that's also why we, in my team, because we use AHA, I also, in our automation stack, in our UI, I created like an AHA importer that we have all the tickets. We know if it's a patch title, if it's an app installer. We also then know we can close a ticket. We also have some data models inside of our company to know, at least from Jamf Pro, which applications are more popular. So we, in our team as content engineers, we are looking at that point. It's not the reporting side, but at least if the titles are missing that you want to have, or a lot of customers are using, we were able to see through, at least from Jamf Pro environments, to see which applications are more popular, and based on that information, we can also then say we want to add that title. Not, again, outside of the reporting, but it's at least connected to your question there as well. So I wanted to give that answer there as well then.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, hopefully next year, I'm here, I can show you and things around. I cannot make promises, but that would be really awesome then. That I'm here giving presentation, you're there as well.
All right, I think we're at time for questions. Thank you so much, Marco. Thank you for everyone for attending and the great questions. Anywhere that people should try to find you for any further questions?
Most likely I will be, you can ask me questions here and I will probably be up because at 12 I have a full brain date. And at 2, I have, I think, 1 or 2 places left for which app installers you think we are missing. But yeah, I will most likely be around that area. If you haven't found me here, you can ask me questions around there.
Great. Thank you all.